Hello my friends, Steve Chiquillo here, Property Patrol. We are with Dave Sampson from Locnest.com, and it's a company across Canada that's been growing, you were saying, that provides lease guarantee for the landlord. So Dave, thanks for coming.
Absolutely, thanks for having me.
So I'm intrigued about this because landlords need services like this because, you know, tenants, they want to have... There's no such thing as a guarantee with rent from a tenant, right? If this can help and bring value, so what is the value of a landlord using Locnest services?
Absolutely. So at the end of the day, the biggest value that we provide landlords with, it's just simply peace of mind. Because our service, it's completely cost-free to the landlord, and it financially backs the tenant. So that means all of the risk is off the landlord, and we're taking on the risk of that tenant defaulting on rent payment, damaging your property, anything of the sort. Because right now, traditionally, what happens is a tenant goes to the landlord, they say, hey, I want to lease this place, and you collect first and last month's rent. Now, this can only be used for default on rent. It can't be used for actual property damage. So here in Canada specifically, or Ontario, where the security deposits aren't legal, you know, landlords kind of have their hand tied. You know, they can't collect a security deposit. They just have first and last, which can only go towards rent. So we're the only legal solution to a security deposit.
So, you know, this is like a creative solution, almost like a niche for a landlord to find other ways to put in a tenant with some guarantee. Now, obviously, on another video, we were talking about this on the tenant side and the value of using as a tenant, but it almost is intertwined.
Absolutely.
Because you're like on partnership with a tenant and landlords. Whoever's using this, there's both benefits to both sides as a tenant and landlord. But from the landlord's point of view, go about getting a lease guarantee for their property and then use it on a particular tenant, or do they have to wait for a tenant?
They can implement it. If a landlord comes to us and says, hey, I want to blanket the lease guarantee across all of my units, I want to implement it, I want every tenant to use it going forward, they can do that. They can also convert existing tenants who don't have it, they can convert them into having it if they want. But it all comes down to the specific use cases. Like some landlords, they use it for certain tenants. Like I said, maybe whether that's a student or a newcomer to Canada, or maybe it's just a really highly competitive area. They'll implement it, and then we've had some property management companies where they've blanketed it across like their entire 1,000 units.
Okay. Here's an example. Let's say a typical landlord situation, they have a one bedroom, it's $1,000 a month, they have a property, they haven't advertised it yet, they just got it ready and says, I got this one bedroom, I'm gonna rent it for $1,000. I heard about this company Locnest, now what? How would this go about?
So the landlord can go to our website, Locnest.com. They can click under the landlord tab. They can initiate the lease guarantee. If they already have a tenant in mind, they can fill out the tenant's information. It sends out the information to the tenant. The tenant receives that email. They confirm that everything is correct. And then when both parties confirm, the legally binding contract for the lease guarantee is sent out to both parties.
You need to have a tenant for this to initialize, is that what you're saying?
They can already have it in mind that they're going to use our service, but we can't activate the lease guarantee until we have you know, the tenant on file, because the tenant's the one who's paying for the service, right, at the end of the day.
So technically the landlord's paying, but the tenant will accept this agreement on the landlord's behalf? Is that how that works? So the landlord will pay, but it's going in the tenant's name?
The landlord doesn't pay. The tenant's always going to be the one who pays for the service. So
okay, so the landlord would say, I'll just take off $80 or something?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that could work. But I mean, also, they can just fill it out with the tenants, because they'll already have the tenant's credit card information on file. So like through approval with them, it can be the tenant's information and credit card information on our file. So the landlord won't be charged anything, but the tenant has to confirm and approve everything.
So it has to come from the tenant's side. They have to accept this.
Yeah.
So it's always in their name, is that what you're saying? It's going to be the tenant?
The lease guarantee will be in the tenant's name, but it'll have the property management company or the landlord's name on the, like both names will be on the legal.
Both names?
Yeah, both names will be on it, but the tenant's the one who pays for it.
I have how's this been operating right now? Like, is most tenants accept this and say they take care of the payment, and that's usually it's been working out that way?
Yeah, we've run into no hurdles where the tenants aren't willing to pay for it, because again, it's a very, very small premium that they pay a year in order to stand out, above everyone else who's also applying for a very competitive place, let's say, or if they do have poor credit history and they're getting denied and denied and denied, it's a very small 8% of the guarantee amount fee that they're willing to pay, and very willing to pay, because at the end of the day, it gets them a roof over their head.
So what would they do? Would they put this in the lease and have a little clause talking about Locnest in the schedule, let's say for their standard lease agreement? So this would be an additional thing they would talk about and put it in as a clause? Or is this just not anywhere on this lease, and it's just they've discussed it?
Yeah, so it doesn't need to be on the lease exactly. They don't need to put a separate clause in or anything, because once it's signed, we provide, and both parties are emailed out.
It's a contract.
It's a contract. It's a legal binding lease agreement contract that we send out to both parties.
I'm just, I always like to be curious. People want to learn, especially if you're a landlord. And they say, well, is this legal as a tenant to accept this type of agreement? Because there's conditions when it comes to the Tenancy Act where you can only ask for so many things.
Yeah.
And so I'm just wondering, how does that kind of work?
No, absolutely. It's fully legal. It's, like I was saying in the previous video.
Had to ask.
No, absolutely. It's a fair question. We're the only legal solution to a security deposit, because security deposits are illegal here in Canada, just like we know, or here in Ontario. We know they're illegal, but our company, we work with, one of the top legal firms in North America.
So it's been reviewed by your legal counsel.
It's been reviewed by our legal counsel.
It's good. There hasn't been issues with it.
Yeah, there's been absolutely no
that.
issues. Yeah.
Okay. You would have to get it legally approved to do this anyway.
Yeah.
Right?
No, our service is fully legally approved. There's no. It's not a gray area when it comes to a third-party lease guarantee. It's a gray area when the tenant is the one who has to pay the landlord more. But if the tenant is required to pay a third party more, it's no longer in that gray area of the landlord requesting additional security deposits.
When was your first Locnest guarantee completed in Ontario?
Our first lease guarantee in Ontario would have been early 2019. I'd say January of 2019.
So this is fairly new then.
It's fairly new here in English-speaking Ontario. Again, we tested the market for a year in Quebec, and we've signed on with hundreds of property management companies in Quebec. And then since we did come to English-speaking Ontario, we very quickly started expanding, and it's erupting.
Is this popular with property management companies?
Yeah, we have a multiple list of partners. Maybe what we can do is leave down below in the link.
Lots of juicy stuff down there.
We can leave a little overview of some of our existing partners.
Yeah, so maybe if someone wanted to use something, you have some referrals for property management companies. Because if you're a landlord, you sometimes want to lean on property management services. So check out the list. See, we're here to help you guys.
Absolutely, we can do that.
And we're digging down with Dave here. That's a great overview of the whole service. Mm-hmm. Landlords getting some security from a tenant, and that's peace of mind.
Exactly. At the end of the day, it's peace of mind for the landlord. It's cost-free to them, and they have protection. There's no more risk on them. We take on the risk.
You can probably reach out to him. I'll put his contact here too.
Absolutely.
So if you have any questions on this and you're a landlord, ask Dave. That's why he's in this business, right? Look, he's a young guy. He's been doing it. He's confident, and they got a good thing going here in Toronto, providing a great service. So reach out. That's what he's here to. He wants to talk. He wants to answer your questions because he wants you to use their service and get things done.
Absolutely happy to.
Right? So anyways, thanks Dave for coming out.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
I'm learning so much. And we'll probably we're gonna do some strategy videos later and talk about some other instances, because there's always more to learn with tenants and landlords and renting. And you probably have a lot more questions. Mm-hmm. And leave a comment if you're looking for a particular question that we may be able to help you with, because we look forward to it. So everybody, live life loud, cheers, cheeks out. And thanks for coming out on Property Patrol. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much, guys.
No more questions for you. Actually, I do have some, but. No. Yeah.